If you're about to buy your first property, this video could save you thousands of pounds. I've sourced hundreds of properties for investors and I keep seeing the same costly mistakes, and it usually comes down to getting the first few decisions wrong before an offer is even made. So in this video, I'll show you the decisions you need to make and how to get them right from the very start. Before we begin, there's one thing you need to get clear on first, because if you get this wrong, everything that follows becomes expensive to fix. So when I first started investing in property, I'll be honest, I didn't really have a strategy. I just thought property makes people rich, I'll buy a few, replace my 9 to 5 and be financially free. That was the goal in my head. The problem was I never actually defined what that meant. Did I want 3k a month, 4k a month, 5k a month? I just assumed it would happen quicker and with less money than it actually takes, and that's where most people go wrong. Because replacing a 9 to 5 with buy to let sounds simple on social media, but when you run the numbers, it's a different story. To replace even a normal salary from rent or profit alone, you need a lot of properties, and to get a lot of properties, you need a lot of money, and to get that money, you need a lot of time. It took me longer, more properties and more money than I expected. Now, did I eventually replace my 9 to 5? Yes, but the lesson wasn't property doesn't work. The lesson was this: you can't have everything at once. You can't chase quick cash flow, long-term appreciation, low risk and instant job replacement at all the same time. You have to decide what you actually want. Do you want short-term income, or are you building long-term wealth that compounds over 10, 20, 30 years? Because those two are very different strategies, and if you don't get clear on that at the start, you'll end up trying to do a bit of everything and end up with nothing, and it's all because your expectations were unrealistic. That's why the first decision you need to make before buying anything is simple. What is property actually for in your life? Is it income now or wealth over time? Once you answer that properly, everything else becomes clearer and then easier going forward. After your strategy, the next thing you choose will shape your returns for the next 10-20 years. So for those of you that don't know, I own a deal sourcing company in the Northeast, and one of the biggest requests we get from investors is, can you find me something cheap? £30,000, £35,000, £40,000, those kind of properties. And look, I get it. Everyone wants a good deal. I wanted exactly the same, but the issue isn't wanting a good price. The issue is thinking cheap automatically equals good. Most investors focus on the price they pay, not the quality of the location, and that's where the long-term difference is made. Because location shapes everything: the rental demand, the tenant profile, vacancy rates, capital growth and exit options. The thing is that property ties your money up for years. So if you put 50k in the wrong place, you don't just affect your rent, you affect your investment's growth for the next 10-20 years. I bought this property for £48,000 and today it's generated around £300 per month in cash flow ever since. It was cheap, it was below market value, and it had a strong yield, and that was the goal for me at the time. And if my only goal was short-term cash flow to replace my 9 to 5, it does a great job at that. But in roughly 3 years, it's gone from about 48k to maybe 60k. Now compare that to another property I bought again in the Northeast for around £85,000 in a stronger area. That one's gone up in value by roughly £30,000. Same region, different location quality, and a completely different long-term result. And when you're starting out, it's easy to get sucked into below market value, discounted properties, but just understand that these very cheap areas are cheap for a reason. Stronger areas aren't really discounted by that much, but they tend to compound better over the long term. And that's what we try to advise our clients, that it doesn't mean that these cheap areas don't work. They absolutely do, but it has to match your goal. If you want income, then certain areas make sense, but if you want generational wealth and long-term growth, you need stronger fundamentals, because at the end of the day, price is what you pay and value is what you get, and in most cases, value tends to show up over time. So before you chase a discount, ask yourself this: does this location support my strategy? If your goal is to replace your income, then those cheaper areas can definitely help you with that. But if your goal is long-term wealth, focus on areas where people actually want to live, with good jobs, transport links, schools and long-term demand. I personally tend to go for properties £80,000 and above in the Northeast, because I've noticed they appreciate more in value while still cash flowing well. And let's be honest, 80k is still a lot more affordable than most parts of the UK, so don't be greedy. And the reason why I say that is because a strategy without the right location won't work, and a discount without demand is just risk dressed up as a deal. Now you can get the strategy right and the location right, but choose the wrong property and it can slow you down for years. So buying the wrong type of property is like buying a brand new car. They look good, they look safe, but the moment you drive it out the garage, it drops in value. Some properties work the exact same same way. They might look like the safest option, but you're overpaying from day one. My first property ever was a new build. On paper, it looked perfect. Low maintenance, easy to rent, and nothing to fix. And at the time, it felt like the obvious option. But what I didn't fully understand at the time was this. With new builds, you're paying a developer's premium built into the price. And according to Land Registry, new builds cost around 29% more than similar existing homes. So just like a new car, you're paying a premium from day one, and it can take years for the value to catch up. Now, does that mean new builds are bad to live in? Probably not, but as an investment, definitely. Because if you think about it, if your goal is long-term wealth, you're already starting from behind, and it can take years to close that gap. And this isn't just about new builds. Certain property types statistically tend to slow beginners down. We've already talked about new builds, but another one is flats or apartments, and the reason why is that long-term houses tend to appreciate more than flats. Plus, you've got service charges, ground rent that eat into your profits. Shared ownership is another one to be careful with. You only own a portion of the property, you still pay rent on the rest, and when it comes to selling, your buyer pool is smaller, which will limit your growth. And another one is properties next to commercial properties. Again, they might look cheaper, but lenders can be stricter. Resale will be harder, and tenant demand is weaker because who wants to live next to a fish and chip shop? And that limits your long-term upside. When you're starting out, you want your investments to be as simple and as predictable as possible. And with these type of properties, you're limiting your potential growth and returns from day one. And that's the last thing I want for you on your first deal. But the reality is, most new investors don't lose money on the purchase. They lose it in the cost they never budgeted for. So when I went to buy my first property in 2013 for £105,000, which was the new build I just mentioned, the only thing I knew about was the deposit. But that's when all the surprises came. The broker had his fee, the solicitor sent the invoice, I had to sort carpets out, blinds out, more money gone, then the insurance, a few bits of furniture. Before I knew it, the money I thought would cover everything wasn't even close. And that's when it hit me, I didn't budget properly. By the time everything was done, I was thousands over what I had planned for. So let me show you how to budget properly so you don't get caught off guard like I did. So let's say you're looking to buy a property for £170,000. Now, most people will just think, I just need the 25% deposit of £42,500. But you have to add stamp duty. Stamp duty is basically a tax you pay when you buy a house, and for a £170,000 property, it's £9,400. And the thing with stamp duty is that most people don't even know about it. Then you've got solicitor fees, let's say £1,500, and your broker fees, give or take, that will be £500. If you're having a survey done, which you should really be, it will easily cost you around, let's say, £300. It's probably a bit more expensive, but let's say £300 for this video. Insurance, as an estimate, will cost you £300 for the year. You might need to refurb the property, let's say £10,000. Once you add everything up, you're actually closer to £64,500. And if you think about it, if you had just budgeted for your deposit like I did for £40,000, when you add it all up, you're not just a little over budget, you're over by more than 50%, which is no joke. And I always say this, it's a bit like booking a holiday. You've paid for your flights and hotel and you think you're done. Then comes the baggage fees, airport transfers, I don't know, city tax, travel insurance, spending money, and suddenly you're out of cash. And that's exactly what will happen to you if you buy a house without knowing your real budget. So before you even look at properties, don't just follow what the estate agent tells you. Figure out what you can actually afford, not what you can borrow. But I've seen so many investors get the strategy right, the location right, and the numbers right, but they still struggle because they trusted the wrong people. So when you're starting out, right, your budget is pretty limited. And then the obvious thought is, I'll save money, I'll just handle everything all myself. And look, that's not wrong. Most people try this, but here's the reality with property. Property can make you a lot of money, but you can also lose a lot of money. And it's very unlikely that on your first year, you'll be better than someone who's done this hundreds of times. And it's not because you're not capable, it's because you don't know what you don't know. It's a bit like representing yourself in court to save on legal fees. You might think you're being smart, you've read a few things, you've probably watched a few videos, but you're stepping into a system full of contracts, legal terms, negotiation tactics, and all these small details matter. Property is the same. There's mortgages, conveyancing, builders, valuations, refurb, lettings, compliance. Each one is different and complex, and the reason why a lot of investors eventually come to us in the Northeast for help isn't just budget, it's time, it's it's knowledge, it's manpower. They realize doing everything themselves sounds cheaper, but it often costs more in the long term. You might save £500 on a broker, but overpay £10,000 in a bad area. You might save some fees on a project manager, but your refurb could overrun by £15,000. Always remember, the market doesn't reward effort, it rewards experience. So here are the key people you want in your corner to make property as smooth and rewarding as possible. A good broker, a solicitor who actually understands buy-to-lets, right? And they're a specialist in buy-to-lets, not just residential properties. You need someone who's doing investment properties, a reliable builder, an accountant, a good management company that knows the local market properly. You don't have to know everything, but you do need to know who to trust, because I've seen this happen to so many people where they're doing all the refurb themselves, they'll manage the tenants, and they just get sick of it, and then they blame that property doesn't work anymore. It does work, but you have to build a power team around you that makes it happen for you. So now you know what decisions you need to make before you buy your first property. And if you've got some money saved up and you're ready to go, the next question is, how do you actually build a property portfolio properly? Because buying one property is one thing, getting to your first 5 is a completely different strategy. In this next video, I'll show you the strategies that can help you grow faster without taking on unnecessary risks. So I'll see you over there.